Hello, everyone, and welcome. From Bucharest, Stockholm, and Zurich, we are bringing you today a new edition of the XPRIMM Time for Business International Show. And we really hope that we will offer you a very interesting discussion. As you remember, last year we have traveled throughout the region and visited the insurance markets of Poland, Croatia, Slovenia, Georgia, Russia, Romania and Bulgaria, trying to get an image of how these markets have coped with the challenges of the pandemic situation. And this time we will try to look more to the future and to the future trends and to the image of this insurance business in the years to come. Just to remind you, all our previous shows are in the playlist on our XPRIMM YouTube channel, so you can visit there and review them all. But let's skip the past and go to the future. And today, together with our guests, we will talk about how technology can help insurers to shift from their traditional risk-sharing role to another approach, becoming practically partners with their customers in helping them to mitigate and to control this risk, and of course also financially cover it. In order to do this, we have two very special guests. They have worked together within the Geneva Association and the IOT Insurance Observatory to release a study, a very interesting study talking about these trends. And I'm very pleased to welcome here in our show Mrs. Isabelle Flueckiger, Program Director, New Technologies and Data for the Geneva Association. Welcome, Isabelle. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Matteo Carbone, Founder and Director of the IOT Insurance Observatory. Welcome, Matteo. Ciao. Well, Isabelle is joining us from Zurich, and Matteo, as usual, on the road today in Stockholm. I would ask you to start with two very short intervention for our viewers to remind them who in fact are the Geneva Association and the IoT Insurance Observatory in a few words, because they are very well-known names, but maybe not everybody knows in depth what is your activity in the end. Isabelle, I would start with you.
Yeah, good. So the Geneva Association is a global think tank for the insurance industry. It was founded in '73, and our members are directly the CEOs of the largest insurance companies globally. This means not only you have a list what are the largest one, but also largest that in a certain region or in a certain country where they are the leader, also for certain products. What we are doing is we are doing strategic research for our members and setting the agenda also for them in various topics. We have 7 work streams. We have work streams like climate change, age and healthing, socioeconomic resilience, also cyber insurance, evolving liability, of course, policy and regulations. And I'm leading the work stream about new technologies and data.
And Matteo, can you tell us a few words about your entity, about the IoT Insurance Observatory? Well, sure. The name speaks a little for itself, but anyway.
The IoT Insurance Observatory is a 5-year-old think tank focused on the usage of IoT in the insurance sector. I lead this initiative helping the members to identify how to use IoT in their core insurance processes. I'm doing this through workshops dedicated one-to-one with each of the organizations that are member of the observatory, And I organize also plenary sessions where I put all the members around the same table. I have been lucky enough over the past 4 editions of the observatory to discuss directly with the people that are daily working on the IoT insurance projects that have succeeded. So I have seen directly the case histories of players that today represent more than 80% of the global volumes in number of insurance policies that are using IoT data together with the traditional data.
Well, this is quite impressive. Frankly speaking, I'm a big fan of you, both of your entities, and often I like to read the studies that you are publishing and are available for the public. But coming back to the topic of this show, you are talking about a shift of paradigm. And this transformation of the traditional role of risk transfer that the insurers have had for centuries towards something that looks more like a partnership with their customers in risk reduction. It's very interesting. And Matteo, if I remember well, you have already written some things in this direction about the increased relevance that IoT can provide for insurers who really use it as they should. That being said, how the idea of this common study has emerged? From where did you start? What could you define as an already visible change in the insurance industry that made this topic relevant enough to dedicate a study to it? Isabelle, would you, or okay.
Maybe I can tell 2 words about
okay.
what has happened, and then I let Isabelle to articulate better how this research that has been led by the Geneva Association started. You are right. I talked about this opportunity for many years. Honestly, when I was jumping on the stage of a conference, talking about become proactive, avoiding bad things from happening in 2012, 2013, people was looking at me like an alien, as if I was describing something that was not of this world. Today, it's difficult not to find an analyst presentation where a CEO of an insurance company is not saying this kind of goal, strategic goal for their organization. Honestly, there are not many players that have already succeeded in implementing these approaches on the field. However, in any insurance business line, you can find some success stories. Some players that have already concretely obtained results, that have reduced the risks of their customers, that have obtained better economic results thanks to this. And to find these examples, you need to look at the insurance sector from a global perspective. So you can find a success story in one business line in Japan, another in another business line in the US, something in South Africa. So you need really to have a global perspective and a constant monitoring, as I'm trying to deliver to the members of my think tank, to have this kind of awareness about what is happening. I let Isabelle to go deeper on how this research started.
Yes. So we are doing strategic research, and the part of that, we are setting an agenda and we are defining really a list of topics that we want to pursue. And we also have a working group. They are the members of these insurance companies in. These are really my working group, technical people like chief technology officer or chief strategy and innovation. And when we had a look at the whole topic, there was more and more mentioned. So yeah, there are these sensors out. There is IoT out. And we have maybe one case, it's Matteo, one line of business and then one department, but we actually do not know what others are doing and what we really can do with all this data. Based on that, we have then shaped actually the direction we want to go. And it was an obvious step to connect with Matteo, because Matteo is the expert globally in this IoT topic for insurance company. And so it came to this collaboration. Then for the research itself, we could then go really back to the network of both of these think tanks. So we have our members there, a lot out of there. Matteo has their members, and together we could finally do more than 60 interviews with all the different companies out there, not only insurance companies, but also technology companies, with insurtechs, so that we had really a view from all the different perspectives.
It seems very complex and also very diverse, because I imagine that different cultures in different parts of the world have an influence of the way people are using and understanding also technology, but we will further see when discussing about the conclusions that you have drawn in your study. Before that, I would just like to ask you if it would be correct to say that the current COVID crisis has been some sort of catalyst for this trend also, as it was obviously for the going digital in insurance in most markets?
Honestly, this has many ideas about the usage of IoT. Is more a myth than a reality. So I think that everybody has had the opportunity to read in some interviews talking about the IoT projects, the prevention initiatives, to mention also COVID. But I think that has been more a reaction of a polite interview about a question that has been made. So in the last 12 months, was impossible to have an interview without anyone that was mentioning COVID. So it had become natural to add this. But I love to talk about reality, about real things that are happening in the market. So to be concrete, an insurance initiative that is leveraging this new paradigm cannot be set up in 12 months. No way. You need a multi-year commitment. You need to build competencies for doing it. So it's not credible that an insurance IoT initiative started after COVID. So someone can have leveraged maybe on auto telematics a demand for usage-based insurance, mileage-based. Fine. But to go to the market with this initiative, you have a background of 1 or 2 years of experimentation to build the competencies, the IT architecture that are necessary for doing it. So to think that some of the success stories we will talk about have been generated or their success have been heavily influenced by what happened in the last 12 months, honestly, is not reliable.
Okay, and if I understand well, then probably the crisis have somehow determined in some cases a little bit of more attention granted to this project than it was already planned and
Exactly.
ongoing. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's come back to the study, in fact, because this is our topic today, and I would like to find out from Isabelle, what are the main findings of it? What is the current stage across the global insurance industry in adopting IoT? What kind of results have you seen?
Yes, so I start. I can also hand over to Matteo again. What we have seen is that the whole development actually is it's early maturity. As Matteo already mentioned, you have in one line of business in Japan, you have a use case or a product launch. You have another in the US. You have another in Australia. But it is our only a limited number of players that really have successfully launched already such a product. They're also very had a very limited view. They typically look at their competitors in their country, what they are doing. Maybe they are then the followers of the first mover. They rarely look outside, or they maybe are also overwhelmed about the information or do not know where to start. So there is not a lot of information what is actually out there, what others are doing. So this is what we have really found there. All are talking, all are in an experimentation phase, how to launch that. There are only a few ones that have successfully already launched it. So this is one of the main, main findings out of that.
Maybe your study will help actually people in the insurance field to get acquainted with lots of opportunities that they are not aware of.
Yes. So we have really integrated a lot of examples from the all the different geographies, so the author can learn out of that. So we actually want to enable then how to think about. It's not necessarily that you can say, yes, it's like a cookbook and you can follow that. No, you cannot do that. Also, if we have had a look at the skills and the capabilities per insurance company, they are typically limited to one line of business, and already the knowledge sharing and the capability sharing to other lines of business in one insurance company is very difficult, or is at the beginning. So also there, the scaling and the leverage is really early maturity. This is one part that we have seen. If we then go into more into the details, there are actually for the prevention services two main ways how to do this. The one is you do it really real-time risk mitigation. So you have an IoT device, a sensor, and in real time, by analyzing the data, are for example, sent to people. This is one way how to do it. And the second way is with nudging a change in behavior so that people have a less risky behavior. For example, in the health area, you have that, nudging people for doing more activities and so that they have a healthy life. These are really the two main ways how to do that. If you then go more into the detail, for example, in with the real-time risk mitigation, you see that in, for example, also you have a lot of success cases also in commercial lines where these are integrated into the companies. It can be for workers' compensation, where you have today sensors in the cloths. They are monitoring the working, how they are lifting. Are they lifting the right way? Have they done, for example, safety checks? They are providing this information also to the field engineers. So if they are doing on-site visits on corporates, they have then for their checklist now a really tailored questions or tailored view where they they should have a look at. You have it also in personal lines, for example, personal auto, where the whole telematics has transformed over the last years from a pure pricing perspective to provide safety to people. This means that the main goal is not anymore the pricing, but the safety. For example, you have GPS location, you have sensors where you can detect if you had a shock, a heart shock. This alert goes to a call center. The call center can then directly call the driver. If the driver is not responding, they can escalate that to the police, to the ambulance, and send somebody out. They have the GPS location. They some they have even a video where they could see the last few seconds before an accident happened and the seconds afterwards. They can directly decide what are the interventions needed there. So this is one part, and the other part is, as I mentioned, the behavioral change. There you actually need like 3 steps. The one is you have to make people aware that they have a risky behavior. You have to propose them a change, but these two does typically not change the behavior. You also have to set incentives. So you have a whole incentivation system behind that to move people to a less risky behavior. And there you have a combination between short term, for example, with driving and less risky driving, that you get vouchers for fuel on a weekly or monthly basis. And then over the year, you also can have collecting points, scores, and you can use that on an annual basis for the renewal, for example, for your premium, or that you have not a premium increase. But there are other ways. You can also give that to a charity organization. So really, it's then calculated as a monetary amount. And this is the findings that we have seen there in the study. So maybe you, Matteo, can add.
It seems to me
more.
that at least
Yes,
in
we have
what
found really a lot. We have really found a lot.
yeah, I imagine, because it's a very diverse world, and you have a very large scope also geographically. For me, it seems that at least in what the relationship insured is concerned, it's a obviously win-win situation. Both business terms and in protection, personal security terms for customers. Matteo, you were, and I've seen in the short summary of your study that you were speaking also about the fact that IoT should be relevant for other stakeholders, like tech companies, the society as a whole. And there are examples that of success that may encourage other potential users or inspire them to how to use IoT and where to start from. Is
Yeah,
this
sure.
an experience that may be transferred?
Uh, I would like to quote 3 completely different examples that I think can give a sense to your audience, Daniela, that if they are working in the insurance sector, they should think about IoT, and they should consider how IoT can impact their current processes, their current relations with their customers, and how they can partner with other players in order for doing it. So, first example, there is one reinsurer that in the last 18 months has introduced with different IoT partners an approach that is based on equipment as a service. So they are financing the hardware. It can be even the equipment for the company that will use the equipment. They are ensuring the performance of the equipment, and they are supporting this way the IoT player to better serve their client. So you have an IoT player that have their own business that is based on equipment as a service, that found a large reinsurance group that support them with the financing of the hardware and the insurance of the performances of their solution. This is one example. A completely different example that is about commercial property. There is a US broker that created a program for their client. So they propose technologies that retrofit the existing building management systems in order to provide real-time risk mitigation and alerts. So they propose this technology that have been negotiated with the tech players. So it's a broker that proactively made the agreements with the tech players. Then this broker presented the effectiveness of these IoT solutions to some insurers. So they obtained a preferred insurance policy dedicated to the clients that adopted the real-time risk mitigation solutions. So you can see how this happened thanks to the intermediary that has the direct relation with the clients. So I've been able to protect their customers and to allow them to benefit from cheaper insurance premiums. Last example is coming from one of the new members of the IoT Insurance Observatory. Is an insurance company that is leader on medical malpractice. Well, they found a way to integrate the usage of IoT in their processes and to co-create with their clients, so large hospitals, solutions that benefit the insurance company, the client, so the hospitals, and allow the IoT players to contribute to make a safer environment, so generating even positive externalities to the entire society. These three examples that are really diverse, different business lines, different stakeholders involved in the solution, I think show that in any insurance business, in any market, you can benefit from this new paradigm.
Yes, it's quite amazing diversity, if I can say so, because between different geographies and different lines of business, in the end, the numbers are quite large. Well, we are close to concluding our discussions today, but we cannot end before going a little bit towards its conclusions. So I understand, as far as I understand, the study is also providing some recommendations to insurers, to regulators, to tech companies on how to effectively adopt insurance IoT solutions. And I don't think we have the time to really review all these recommendations, but if you can stop and provide from your point of view, both of you, a few of the most important, what do you think is really, really topical? We would be grateful to hear it.
If you want, I can give you a couple of aspects that in all these years working with different organizations in different markets are for me really the foundations for approaching the new paradigm of preventing risks. One is the literacy. So normally, if you talk with an insurance executive that is working in one single market and you ask them, what about insurance IoT? Maybe they mention auto telematics or the usage of wearables in health and life. Maybe they have seen directly some failures, but they are really influenced, let me say biased, on the local dynamics they have been exposed to. So I think that to have a literacy about all these diverse use cases that can be applied and how risks can be concretely prevented with the two approaches that Isabelle effectively described a few minutes ago, I think that is a necessary step. So you need to be aware and to understand how it works. Second, the fact that the adoption of this paradigm is a business transformation. So you need to forget that is a product that you can copy from a competitor. Because if you are doing it in a couple of years, you will see that what you build isn't successful, isn't sustainable, because your competitor went through a journey and learned how to use the data. You have only copied the insurance contract and the promise to the customer, but at the end you are not using the data. You have not learned how to use the data. So you discover, and I have seen many players, you discover that your portfolio is unprofitable. You have the IoT cost, but you are not obtaining benefits. Or even worse, no one purchases your product. So I think that you need to be aware that is a multi-year commitment, and you need to build the competencies, both the technological competencies and the leadership competencies that are necessary to lead this business transformation. I let Isabelle to add from her perspective other key recommendations.
Yes. So Matteo also mentioned you have then costs, and you have a totally new financial management. You have things like the cost of the technology. You have the service, the management behind that. You have an ecosystem of partnership. You give incentives. You have incentive systems short and long term. You need also to manage the whole ecosystem and your partners. And you have a lot more financial items to consider and to integrate in that, and to build such a sustainable business case. And sustainable business case means really a win-win situation for all involved parties. You need a new financial management. And what we have seen is that only a few players really have realized how to set up that and integrate all of that. This is a very important point there. There are also others, for example, working together with the technology companies. Insurers have their core competence in insurance, knowing the risks, and not tech firms per se. So they are collaborating, or they're working together with tech companies. The tech companies, that they become co-creator for such technology-driven prevention services. It's not just they sell and then no, they have to shape with the insurance company together these services, also to look at what are actually the services itself. Only in, for example, a part of the data, alerts can go technology firm, they do a first analysis of that. And there is really really such a partnership, and all the successful cases, we have this strong partnership with technology firms. And the last one is, as always, for the regulatory side. Regulations also need to become IoT, all the applications, and also to see what the insurance industry needs to do this successfully. Because finally, it's a win-win situation with the customer. Not only that, in most cases, also the society in general, they benefit. If you have safer roads, it's the society that benefits. If you have benefits. So the regulators should shape their regulations that the insurance industry has the freedom really to evolve in that.
Thank you very much, both to you, Isabelle, and to Matteo. As in my mind, after speaking with you, what I have first of all understood is that it's not maybe so much about technology, but about creating a complete new mindset in the insurance business, and about innovating in the spirit of the business more than actually strictly technological speaking, and implementing
Yes.
devices and so on and so forth. There are an immense volume of possibilities here, and I'm sure that in the future we will see very interesting developments in this respect, and probably you will have the opportunity to come with a second edition of your study and see the progress. Until then, I understand that the study will actually be published soon and will be available for the public. We are anxious to see it and to read it, and we will also be pleased to help you promote it in the insurance world. Until then, for our viewers, thank you also for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I can assure you that there will be future meetings with very interesting topics, and worth watching. At least we are striving to achieve this goal. Until then, stay safe, stay tuned. Goodbye.
I
Goodbye. Thank you.